afternoon, everyone. I'm Ami Jane G. Gagliarde, and I will discuss the International Monetary System. First, what is the International Monetary System? An international monetary system is a set of internationally agreed rules, conventions, and supporting institutions that facilitate international trade, cross-border investment, and generally the reallocation of capital between nation-states. The history of international monetary system. Historically, governments based their exchange rate on the gold standards during the first attempt at globalization. With the gold standard, government exchanged national currency notes for gold at a permanently fixed rate exchange rate. On July 1, 1944, delegates from 44 nations come together in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire to work out arrangements for a new international monetary and financial order. This meeting occurred just after day, where more than 160,000 alien troops had landed on the beaches of Normandy to battle against the Nazi forces. What is Bretton Woods? Bretton Woods represented the first time that government explicitly and systematically made exchange rates a matter of international cooperation and regulation. America and British policymakers Harry Dexter White and John M. Keynes were the architects of the Bretton Woods Agreement. The Bretton Woods Agreement engendered two international institutions, the International Monetary Fund or IMF and the World Bank, and their function was designed to replace private finance as more reliable source of lending in the developing nations. Why does the International Monetary System do? International Monetary System refers to the system and rules that govern the use of exchange of money around the world and between countries. Each country has its own currency as a money, and the International Monetary System governs the rules for valuing and exchanging these currencies. Why it is important to understand the International Monetary System? Because the purpose of the International Monetary System or IMS is to facilitate international economics exchange since most countries have national currencies that are not typically accepted as legal payment beyond their borders, and also facilitate the exchange of goods, services, and capital among countries. It also seeks to contribute to a stable and high global growth with currently posting price and financial stability. It also regulates the balance of payments, and there are four elements. First element is international payments and transfers relating to current international transactions. Second, international capital movements, exchange arrangement or rates, and lastly, the international reserves. The International Monetary Fund. What is the International Monetary Fund mean? It is an international organization that promotes global economic growth and financial stability, encourages international trade, and reduces poverty. Quotas of members countries are the key determinant of the voting power in IMF or International Monetary Fund decisions. The role of International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund aims to reducing global poverty, encouraging international trade, and promoting financial stability and economic growth. The International Monetary Fund or IMF has three main functions: overseeing economic development, lending, and capacity development. The IMF's fundamental mission is to help ensure stability in the international system. It does so in three ways. First, keep track of the global economy and the economies of member countries. Second, lending to countries with balance of payments difficulties. And lastly, the giving practical help to members. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Jason Corpuz and I will explain to you the lesson 2 of chapter 3, which is the fixed and floating exchange rates. Let us first define exchange rate. It is the value of one currency in terms of another currency. There are two types of exchange rate: the fixed exchange rate and the floating exchange rate. So, alam na natin kung ano ibig sabihin ng exchange rate. Halimbawa nito ay ang exchange rate ng Philippine Peso into US dollars. 1 US dollar is equivalent to 48 or 50, di ba pabago-bago siya? Ganun yung tinatawag natin na exchange rate. Um, the first type is the fixed exchange rate. It's known as peg exchange rate and describes when a currency value is fixed against the value of other currencies. This means you will always get the same value for your money when you exchange with these currencies in order to maintain the exchange rate at the stated level. Government uses fiscal and monetary policies to control aggregate demand. So, ang fixed exchange rate ay hindi na nababago. Ginagamitan na ito na ngayon ng fiscal at monetary policies ng central bank para hindi nababago yung exchange rate ng pera. The determination of fixed exchange rate. The exchange rate is set by the government or central bank at a particular rate. The forces of supply and demand do not determine the rate. The central bank holds reserves of US dollars and intervenes in order to keep the exchange rate pegged at the level known as the official rate. So, para ngayon magkaroon ng official rate o para ma-maintain yung sinet na exchange rate ng isang pera ay kailangan mag-hold ng central bank ng US dollars at para mapanatili iyon. Advantages of fixed exchange rate. The risk and uncertainty of trade and promoting foreign direct investment is reduced, thus making business and investment planning possible. Reduce currency speculation. Creates stability in knowing the exchange rate. So, dahil nga meron ng fixed na exchange rate ng pera, panatag ngayon ang loob ng mga foreign investors na mag-invest sa isang bansa dahil ang value ng pera ay hindi pa bago-bago. Magkakaroon ngayon mas mababa ang speculations dahil wala masyadong issues compared sa isang type na ba na-explain ko mamaya. The disadvantages of fixed exchange rate. Reserves are needed to protect the value. An improvement in an economy's competitiveness that results in lower prices will not be fully passed on the export customers if the exchange rate remains unchanged. Exchange rate may be undervalued or overvalued. Ang disadvantage ng fixed na exchange rate ay kailangan ng, kagaya ng nabanggit ko kanina, kailangan ng US dollars reserves para mapanatili yung value ng pera. At isa pa dito ay ang kahit kapag nag-export kasi 'di ba, yung value ng pera na yun kung tumaas man or bumaba yung presyo ng i-export ay hindi basta-basta mababago dahil meron ng fixed na exchange rate sa ibang bansa. Pwedeng sobra yung value na yun or sobrang taas or sobrang baba. The floating exchange rate. It is also known as flexible exchange rate. It is where the rate of exchange is determined purely by the demand and supply of the currency on the foreign exchange market. This means if the demand for a currency is low or it is widely available, it goes down. And conversely, if value goes up with the exchange rate. Ang floating exchange rate naman ay dinedetermine ng foreign market ang exchange rate ng currency. The determination of floating exchange rate. The value of currency is allowed to be determined by the forces of demand and supply on the foreign exchange market. There is no government intervention. Any change in supply or demand for a currency will cause a depreciation or appreciation and in exchange rate. So, yun. An increase in demand for local currency causes it to appreciate or rise. However, if there is a greater demand for the foreign currency, the value of the local currency falls or depreciates to the foreign currency. However, there is a greater demand for the foreign currency, the value of the local currency falls or depreciates to the foreign currency. Kapag nagkakaroon ng mas mataas na demand sa foreign currency, bababa ngayon ang value ng magkakaroon ngayon ng depreciation sa local na pera dahil mas mataas na ang demand sa foreign currency. The currency appreciation means an increase in the value of currency. A rise or appreciation in the economy and the country's currency will mean that price of imports into the country will fall and the prices of the country's exports will rise. Sorry ulit. A rise or appreciation in the economy in the country's currency will mean that price of imports into the country will fall and the price of the country's exports will rise. So kapag nagkaroon ng appreciation sa isang currency ng isang company, ibig sabihin nun na ang price ng mga ina-export ay tumataas din. Causes of currency appreciation: a decrease in the number of foreign goods and services imported to the economy. A decrease in the number of economist investors who want to place their funds in the foreign economies. So, ang mga dahilan kung bakit tumataas ang or nagkakaroon ng tumataas ang value ng isang currency ay bumababa ang ini-import na mga goods sa isang bansa at bumababa rin ang number ng mga investors na nag-i-invest sa foreign economies. Currency depreciation means a decrease in the value of currency. It means currency is worthless in terms of a foreign currency. Causes of currency depreciation: a reduction in the number of the economy's goods and services sold abroad. A reduction in the number of international investors who wish to place their funds in the economy. So, ang nagkakos kayo ng currency depreciation ay kapag bumababa ang mga nag-i-invest sa isang bansa. Parang ibig sabihin kasi nun, kukonti yung pumapasok na pera sa isang bansa. At kapag mas mababa naman ang ina-export ng isang bansa, mas mababa rin yung pumapasok na pera kaya nagkakaroon ng currency depreciation. Advantages of floating exchange rate: market is determined so it is more efficient. No need for research to intervene. Exchange rate would reflect its true value and absorbs economic shocks better. Freedom of government to pursue internal policies. Automatic adjustments like less likelihood of a crisis. Ang advantage ng floating exchange rate ay ang market na ang magdedetermine ng prices kaya market na ang magdedetermine ng prices or ng exchange rate. Depende yun sa demand and supply. The disadvantages of floating exchange rate: large depreciation when it occur, instability of exchange has a negative impact on domestic economy. Terms of trade may decline with fall in exchange rate. Uncertainty of currency. Speculation of currency. Reduce investment as this would be too risky. Ang disadvantage ngayon ay kukunti mag-i-invest dahil parang mas mataas yung risk dahil pabago-bago nga yung exchange rate. Hindi siya stable, kumbaga. So, that ends my discussion. Feel free to chat me na lang kapag hindi malinaw yung report ko and I will explain it to you. And I will send a copy of this presentation na lang para mabasa nyo.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Trisha Carl Baccaran from Aspas, your reporter for today. So for today's Chapter 3, the International Monetary System, our topic is the impact of the European currency or euro. But before we will discuss the impact of the European currency, we will discuss first the birth of the European currency. In our first slide, the birth of the European currency. In December 1991, the members of the European Union met at Maastricht. The Netherlands finalized a treaty that changed Europe's currency future. This treaty set out a timetable and a plan to replace all individual ECU currency with a single currency called euro. Prepare for the EMU. A convergence criteria was laid out whereby each member country was responsible for managing the following to a specific level. First, nominal inflation rates. Second, long-term interest rates. And the third one, fiscal deficits. And the last one is government debt. In addition, European Central Bank or ECB was established in Frankfurt, Germany. After we discuss the birth of the European currency, we will discuss the effect of the euro. The euro affects market in three ways. 1. Cheaper transaction costs in the eurozone. 2. Currency risk and costs related to uncertainty are reduced. And 3. Price transparency and increased price-based competition. Achieving monetary unification. First, if the euro is to be successful, it must have a solid economic foundation. Second, the primary driver of a currency's value its ability to maintain its purchasing power. And the last one is, so the single largest threat to maintaining purchasing power is inflation.
Good day everyone, my name is Jashmin-Iera and my topic for today is all about calculating foreign exchange rate. So first, we will define what is exchange rate. Exchange rate is how much it costs to exchange one currency for another. Ibig sabihin nito, yung exchange rate, kapag napapalit tayo ng currency sa ibang currency, yun yung cost niya, which is, halimbawa, 43 pesos is equal to $1, $1 US, parang ganon. Yan. Also, it fluctuates constantly throughout the week as currencies are actively traded. So, fluctuate meaning pwedeng tumaas at pwedeng bumaba. So now, we will go to how exchange rates work. So as you can see on your screen, is finding market exchange rates. Bakit nga ba? It's because traders and institutions buy and sell currencies 24 hours a day during the week. So, ibig sabihin, yung pagbili at pagbebenta ng mga institution at mga traders is 24/7. Walang pahinga. Ayan, kahit anong oras. Ayan. For a trade to occur, one currency must be exchanged for another. Of course, hindi naman matatawag na trade yon kung wala ka namang pag-exchange na mga product or what we call the currency. So, makikita nyo dyan sa screen nyo, sabi dyan, to buy British pounds, another currency must be used to buy it. So, hindi mo pwedeng bilihin ang British pounds gamit ang British pounds din. So, kailangan other currency. And whatever currency is used will create a currency pair. Ano nga ba ang currency pair? Ang currency pair, ito yung kapag nag-exchange na yung dalawang currency, so ibig sabihin, magkasama sila or magka-partner sila. So, tingnan natin dito sa susunod. Sabi dyan, if US dollars are used to buy British pounds, the exchange rate is for the GBP divided or slash USD pair. So, yun yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina na magsasama silang dalawa. Yung GBP, which is the British pounds, and the USD, which is the US dollar. And it is called, yung GBP slash USD pair is called the currency pair. So next is reading an exchange rate. If the USD slash CAD currency pair is 1.33, that means it costs 1.33 Canadian dollars for 1 US dollar. In USD slash CAD, the first currency listed, or the USD, always stands for 1 unit of that currency. And the exchange rate shows how much of the second currency is needed to purchase that 1 unit of the first. So, yung makikita nyo kanina, nauna yung USD. Ibig sabihin, ang stand niyan always is 1 unit. And yung pangalawa, which is kanina, yung example is yung CAD or yung Canadian dollar, it is how much of the second currency is needed to purchase. So, always remember that na yung nauuna is 1 unit. Always yun. Always stands for 1 unit. And yung pangalawa is kung magkano. Magkano yung isang unit na yun sa other currency. Para mas maintindihan natin, we will find out how much it costs to buy 1 Canadian dollar using US dollars, and we will use the formula 1 divided by the exchange rate. So, ito naman, di ba kanina, ang inano natin is $1 is, kung i-convert natin or i-exchange natin sa Canadian dollar, it cost 1.33 Canadian dollars. Ngayon naman, aalamin naman natin kung magkano ang 1 Canadian dollar. Alamin natin kung magkano yung 1 Canadian dollar kapag i-exchange siya sa US dollar. So, ayun. So, yung sinabi ko kanina formula sa inyo, 1 divided by the exchange rate. So, 1 divided by 1.33 is equal to 0.7518. So, meaning it costs 0.7518 US dollars to buy 1 Canadian dollar. So, magbabanggit lang ako sa inyo ng most popular currencies that traded against the greenback, which is the US dollar. Yan. So, una dyan sa listahan is the euro, next is the Japanese yen, the British pound, the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the China's RMB currency, the Hong Kong dollar, the Indonesian rupiah, the Indian rupee, the Mexican peso, and the Philippine peso, and lastly, the Thai or the Thai baht. So now we will go to the conversion spreads. And when you go to the bank to convert currencies, you most likely won't get the market price that traders get. So magkaiba sa market kaysa sa bank. Yan. The bank or currency exchange house will mark up the price so they make a profit. So as will credit cards and payment services providers such as PayPal when a currency conversion occurs. So sa market, mas mababa siya or mas mababa yung currency exchange niya kaysa sa bank. Kasi ang bank is nagdadagdag sila or yung tinatawag na markup para sa ganun is magkaroon sila ng profit. So, sabi dyan, if the USD slash the Canadian dollar is 1.33 or the price is 1.33, the market is saying it cost 1.33 Canadian dollars to buy 1 US dollar. Pero, pag sa bangko, it may cost 1.37 Canadian dollars. So, paano nga ba naging 1.37? So, ang mga bangko, usually, ang ina-add nilang markup price is 3%. So, tignan natin kung mapapalabas ba natin ang 3% na markup price sa gagawin nating formula. Yan. So, ganito yung gagawin natin. Take the difference between the two exchange rates, and then, after that, we will divide it by the market exchange rate. Yan. So, 1.37 minus 1.33 is equal to 0.04, and dinivide natin ulit sa 1.33, and it is equal to 0.3. Then, para makuha ang 3%, or what I mean, 0.03 pala yun. Para makuha natin ang 100 or 3%, we will multiply it by 100 to get the markup price or the percentage markup. So, yung pinagkaiba naman dito sa market and the bank, ang bank, it can give you cash, but traders in the market do not deal in cash. So, oo, mas mataas yung rate sa bangko dahil may markup price which is 3%, pero they can give you cash. But in the market, they will not give you cash. So for conclusion, exchange rates always apply to the cost of one currency relative to another. The order in which the pair are listed, yung kagaya kanina, yung USD/CAD versus the CAD and USD always matters. Remember, the first currency is always equal to 1 unit, and the second currency is how much of that second currency it takes to buy 1 unit of the first currency. From there, you can calculate your conversion requirements. Banks will mark up the price of currencies to compensate themselves for the service. Shopping around may save you some money, as some companies will have smaller markup relative to the market exchange rate than others. Thank you and God bless.